Hey there, everyone, and welcome to an Authors and Dragons actual video panel in which we prove to you why we should have a Patreon tier to hire stand-in models to do this for us. Today, we're here to talk about working from home. And, I'm Rick Gualtieri, and joining me is Drew Hayes, Joseph Brassi, Robert Bevan, and Steve Wetherell. Say hi, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. Hey, how's it going?
Hello, friends.
I forgot to get a beer before we started.
I like how you're all waving like people can, like anybody cares.
Oh, they care, Rick. They care.
Drew's the only one with a fancy digital background, unless Bevan just found a really oddly specific digital background.
Enjoy my blank wall.
Oh,
This is where the magic
it's like
happens.
a little different than some of the other backgrounds you might have seen on our various Authors and Dragons Con 2020 digital panels. There's no reason for that. Certainly not that these were filmed disjointedly out of time or anything.
Yeah, not that this happened in the past at all. But,
It's not like we're operating from home during the midst of a dire global crisis.
Yeah, it's not like I'm recording mine from 2023 via a time machine because I forgot to show up for the original meeting.
How does it all work,
working from
Drew?
home.
Give me lottery numbers.
Oh, Rick, you still think there's a lottery?
you still think
Drew's
that's
in his
number?
I imagine there's a people lottery out there.
Technically, time travel is impossible. I'm in a multiverse that phases about 3 years ahead of yours. It's complicated, but, not terrible. I mean, the sky is made of partial fire, but the McRib is available all year round. So you got to take the good with the bad.
Says the dead guy.
Spoilers.
Spoilers
All
for
right.
all of us eventually.
This is another panel in our Authors and Dragons Digicon 2020. And as the title of what you have seen, since this is a streaming setup, no doubt gave away, it is about working from home, a topic that is weirdly germane to what we have spent years practicing and, suddenly very relevant. There's a lot of folks who are struggling to deal with the hurdles and adaptations of working from home. So it seemed like a good thing that we have expertise on. And yeah, that feels as weird to say as it does to hear, I imagine.
Yes, take our advice. Take it, I say.
The world closed down for COVID and the self-published authors stepped up.
I need a specialist and someone who works without pants on for up to 8 hours a day and still gets things done.
Well,
Holy
before we
shit,
go
this
too
is our
far off the
moment.
rails, we asked our Discord, which you can get to if you are a member of our Patreon. Which why aren't you? To give us their work from home questions. But before we do that, why don't we just give an introduction into our own personal work from home setup? Have you guys been working from home a long time? Is this new? And what's changed in the last couple months, if anything?
I've lost my office. Part of it is that I always used to wander around the house. I'm the office since my wife started working from home. Her office has been closed since March, and so she's up in what was supposed to be my office most of the day, and so I actually end up working downstairs from the dining room table. I have my whiteboard set up behind me so that I can jot shit down. Hello, cat.
I thought that was a weird erection.
Yeah, I work wandering around the house and defending my laptop from my children. So
Children and cats. The
Life
scourge of
hasn't
laptop.
changed. I've been doing this since I moved to the States, and I've been in my garage before COVID. Still in my garage.
Mine has been fairly consistent. It's the standard schedule I think most writers stick to. Wake up naturally around 3 o'clock in the morning for no clear reason. Work for several hours. Go for a few mile walk before the sun rises. Work for a few more hours. Sneak a nap in. go to bed at a normal time. For some unknown reason, you just can't sleep that much. But yeah, I've been doing this for I passed 7 years, I realized in June. I've been doing this for 7 years.
8 years for me.
Holy shit. It's wild, right?
Yeah.
Time. Oh, time's a bitch. So
Actually.
So I've gotten, I guess, a lot of practice at it. My biggest thing is I just tend to get up and I tend to tackle my most important stuff first. So whatever my biggest tasks are for the day, whether it be a chapter to write or things that have to get edited or what have you, I hit the ground running. I tackle that immediately. And then once that's done, I move on to secondary tasks, maybe projects that have a little more leeway, edits that aren't as impending, etc. So those aren't as stressing, but I always feel better when the things that have to get checked off are checked off immediately.
How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Well, I'm still the only boring fucker here with an actual 9-to-5 job. So I was used to kind of, I guess, getting myself out of bed, getting in the shower, getting in the car before I can really see properly, and just getting into the office, and then just staying there until it was time to clock out. And then going and working from home in whatever setup I had available to me. But since the lockdown, everybody's been working from home that can work from home. I'm not in a customer-facing job, so here I am in my apartment. And this is basically what you're seeing here happens for about, I don't know, 12 hours a day at least, probably. So I do my 9-to-5, or, more accurately, about 8 till 4. And then I sit here for a further 4 or 5 hours doing podcast and writing stuff. And I'm sure there's a world outside the window somewhere. I'm sure it's not just a cardboard cutouts and a recording of noises of humans, which I sometimes wonder. I'm sure that's not true at all. I'm sure there is genuinely a universe, and this isn't some weird kind of Truman Show hell.
I've been doing this for about 4 years myself, and I am eternally a floater in my own house. This is my office. This is like technically where I should be working. The problem is it's upstairs in a corner of my home, and I have kids and pets, and I can hear them doing shit when I'm up here. Stuff that they shouldn't be doing. So as a result, I probably spend less time in my office and more time floating downstairs at the dining room table, just so I can keep an eye on everything, and yell at the kids. What are you doing in the kitchen? Nothing. You've been in there for 20 minutes. What are you doing? Nothing.
You can just imagine that you're like the manager of your workplace, and all your employees are incredibly disruptive.
Yeah, the only difference being that I have to yell at my employees to put on pants every so often.
I mean, if you worked in like engineering or something, that's not such a big reach.
None of us are wearing pants anymore, Rick. This is what the workplace looks like now.
Well, it's less running around the house with no pants. It's more running outside with no pants.
There's got to be a limit. Well, I don't know. But still,
I have a few principles, but I stand by them.
All right. So why don't we hop into some questions here from our wonderful Discord.
Yeah.
Should I read the people's names or?
Fuck them.
That is an excellent question.
No.
You should probably read their names.
All right. Well, everybody on Discord is using some funky name anyway. It's not like I'm giving out their social security number. Check.
011576553 says.
Well,
and I'm sorry if that was actually social.
We'll start off with a good one here, a serious one. Our friend Lamplighter asks, do you have any tips for keeping motivated and resisting the call of video games, pets, snacks, and naps?
Anxiety works really well for me.
I have other than the fact that I need to get shit done, I can't for video games the television is like the thing that keeps my children occupied, and if I try to play video games, they will be all up in my business just as much as they are normally, so video games would not actually be an escape. My resistance for fucking around on the internet is that it actually creates greater levels of stress than work does, and for me anyway, that stress is paralyzing rather than energizing. So I have to like severely moderate my intake of things that stress me out or work doesn't get done. And also I end up in a corner of the kitchen grabbing my knees, rocking back and forth, kind of whispering, there's no place like home, there's no place like home, there's no place like a home. Well, I am home, fuck.
Oh my god, I think you might have just encapsulated 2020 in a single sentence. Succinct. I like it.
Well, that was existentially terrifying. Thanks.
Sorry.
Oh man, okay. Outside of just generalized terror of my job vanishing, I'm a big proponent of the one step a day mentality in terms of accumulating small progress. It's really easy to get discouraged with big projects, especially things like books or the sorts of things that are the scale we tackle. And I'm sure a lot of folks working from home are definitely having to bite off more than they might in this scenario. And it can feel ridiculous. The idea of writing out an entire book and et cetera, whatever you're doing, it can feel ridiculous. But if you can do something a day, I like a chapter or two or something like demonstrable progress, helps me remember that a little bit at a time can accomplish something. And so if I'm like, oh, I really want to do this, it's like, 500 words. Give me 500 words, and then you won't feel guilty for the entire day about it because you understand that this is progress. Small progress is progress.
You pretty much just echoed, what keeps me going is that whole guilt versus I did shit.
Yeah, me too. If I get something done, even if it's like a tiny thing, that's a thing that I can point to and say I did a thing.
See, I totally agree with that, but my system's a little scrambled. In that I think anything I've done that's beneficial is technically work. So I'll be like, oh, I did my 9 to 5. I did some podcast editing, did a bit of writing. That's all work. But then I might, the kind of like the video game stuff and the pets and everything isn't really a problem for me. My problem is like, I cleaned my bathroom. I went for a walk. I lifted some weights. That was all work. It's like, yeah, but no one's paying you for that, man. That's
it's funny you bring that one up, Steve. I made a change about a year ago that actually has really yielded some benefits for me, and I classified doing a 2-mile walk in the mornings as part of my job. I count that as work now. And that sounds really silly, but staying baseline physical healthy to live long enough to keep doing my job does feel justifiable. And it's nice. Like, I don't feel guilt when I go do that now. I've mentally customized it to, no, this is body upkeep the same way you would do computer upkeep or something else. And like classifying what is and isn't work can get a little more fluid in this situation. And it's not a bad time to build beneficial hobbies or habits if you have that disposition. I'm very, very habit driven. If I set a routine, I will stick to it automatically unless I deviate. And changing that and making this part of my ode tasks a day really helps just make a lot of things better.
See, I've been trying to keep to a normal work schedule, 9 to 5 or so. I like having my evenings free. So that's kind of also my motivation is, did I get stuff done? Because I have the option of working later if I didn't get stuff done. But right now, it's kind of like, all right, you finish your stuff, you make dinner. Once it's done, that's me time. And that's like, okay, turn on Netflix, turn on the PlayStation. Work day is over. Shut off the phone until somebody in my group starts screaming or setting a fire. But for as much as I can.
You got mods to deal with that, man. Let it burn.
Pretty much an amalgamation of what everyone else has said. I do my walks like Drew. Something I need to do. Try to get my words in early. Then some some me time in the evening, which is when I like to spend that with the family.
Actually, credit where it's due. I think I got the walk thing from you, Bevan.
Cool.
Yeah, because I remember
fuck.
we went to a con, and you were talking about how you had started just doing walks regularly, and you dropped a bunch of weight, and you were feeling better. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try that out. So yeah, credit to you, man. That helped a lot.
If I don't get a regular workout in, I start to lose my mind. That's definitely an important part of like self-care and work for me. And actually, now that you guys mention it, I need to start classifying that plus just going for my mental. I do mental health walks where it's literally if I can't think of something, or if I'm stalled or stuck, if I go for a walk and just listen to music, I can often jog my brain going again. And I really need to start viewing that as part of the work process rather than as a thing I'm allowing myself to skimp out on.
Absolutely.
So that's a good idea.
I have solved so many plot problems walking down a sidewalk listening to random ass songs.
Yeah.
It's just
Absolutely.
letting your brain not think sometimes is what you need.
I would say, I don't know, this is probably going to come up in a different question, but to expand on what Rick said there about delineating the time between work and not work, it's so much harder. Speaking to someone who's got, I guess, technically 2 jobs, so much harder when you work from home. It's, and you kind of don't notice the stress build up, but today I was kind of like, I feel like my eyeballs are vibrating. And there's just, it's kind of, you get into the, because the office is there, as you can see, I sleep in my office, which is probably not helpful. It doesn't smell great. But, it's kind of, I just find just going somewhere for like, a few hours where the possibility of catching up on emails or doing a little bit of work just because I'm there isn't available to me. It's kind of the only way to break out of that.
Yeah.
Which is problematic.
I'll take that as
a lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, here's the
it's
thing.
problematic.
Just working from home in a normal job, it's really easy to put in 12-hour days and stuff because, all that stuff that you would do in the office that's just screwing around is gone. There's no impetus to commute home. And as small business owners, there's even more of that impetus. So it's even more important to occasionally just say, no, this is done. I'm done with work. Like on the weekends, I'm doing something similar to what you did, Bob, a couple of years ago, the 1,000 words a day thing. So yeah, I'm on that kick right now, and it's working really well for me. But my impetus on the weekends is get that 1,000 words done before, say, 11 a.m., and the rest of the day is mine, to do whatever the hell I want, which usually means recording with you guys, but...
Yeah.
It's just 1,000 words of fuck these words, fuck these words, fuck these words.
Sometimes...
Going back to what Steve was talking about the drawing the line between work and not work, I find it, I have less of a problem with that than the rest of my family, which is something I noticed big time when I quit my day job and started working full time. They know I'm in the garage working on a level, but they also don't always give a shit. It's like, hey, Dad's not busy. It's we need to go shopping right now.
I am 100% with you there. I've been working from home on and off for probably 25 years. I worked at AT&T when they were just when they were on the cutting edge of it. So I kind of developed that that discipline early on. The problem is the rest of the household never developed that discipline. So yeah, it's always kind of and you get that attitude of, I know you have you done your work today? Well, no, I'm working on it now. Well, make sure you get it done. But first, let's go and do.
I would say
it can be problematic when your work also looks like fun, and it is fun. Like, I think we all still enjoy writing. I do. I'm not going to put words in anyone's mouth, but it is work too. Like, there are days there's nothing I want to do less than write. And that happens. And, there's things I love that I just don't want to do some days. And that's okay. That is perfectly all right. But even on those days, to go back to how do you get the work done? It's really silly, but the Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, that thing about you can do anything for 10 seconds. I have it down to, I can always write 100 words. at this point, 100 words to me is nothing. So if I'm just in a place where it's like, I don't want to fucking write this today, all right, I'll do 100 words and I'll go fuck off for an hour. And then I'll do 100
Usually
words and I'll go fuck off for an hour. And it's like, I can
I'll
do
that too. I'll do 100 words and then go water a plant, come back.
Sometimes the power of just like understanding that, I guess I'm circling back to my original one, but little bits add up, even on the days. But yeah, the big one I think is pushing through. You have to be able to do the work consistently, even when working from home, and that can be difficult to master, especially when we chose this. I think to a man, it would be incorrect to say any of us were shoved into this by circumstance.
You will write, or I will kick your ass.
Like, I lost my contract job right around the time I went full time, but the truth was I was already kind of thinking it, so it would be disingenuous to frame it that way. But like, we all chose this, but that's not necessarily the same thing that other folks are going through, because this was sprang upon them. They didn't have forewarning or a chance to make plans or build up or anything.
You were so correct. That 1,000 words a day thing, just setting that as a bare minimum, that has just saved my ass, because I have had days where I don't want to do anything, or things have been happening. It's a bad day. The kids are acting up, and it'll hit like 1 or 2 o'clock, and I'll be like, I'm done. That's it. But then I'll look and be like, dude, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You got at least 3 more hours of the workday. You can't do 400 more words. And that is quite the motivator right there, of just be like, sit down, shut up, and just get it done, even if it sucks.
Or just break it into small pieces. Like, whatever your project is, if it's a spreadsheet, fill out 5 cells and then go fuck off. But a little bit at a time can get you there, even when it seems like it's not.
I'd say, just on Bevan's point again about it not looking like you're doing work. I mean, the setup I have now is like whether I'm writing or I'm on my day job or hanging out with you guys or playing Warcraft, it looks exactly the same from an outside. But I used to do a lot. I spent a lot of time doing blue collar jobs. I was delivery driver for a big DIY warehouse, so I was delivering like tons of slabs and stuff, and it was hard physical work. And you could feel it when you were done with the day. But when I switched from that to an office job, I was surprised how exhausting it is just spending 8 hours a day doing something at a screen. And it's kind of part of your body thinks, you've done nothing but sit down for 12 hours, man. That's not work. I still kind of get that physical reaction from it. But in terms of like actual mental exhaustion, it is, sometimes it's just like I cannot physically bring myself to even look at a screen anymore.
Yeah, it's like your mind is tired, but your body is like
to justify.
But your body is like, you have bed sores, you lazy fuck.
It's been harder to justify when the family walks in, and I'm one thing if I'm writing, okay, that I see those are words going on a page that will eventually be a book that people pay for. But I'm drinking beer and watching Santa Claus kill people in a mall.
This is art.
This is my
The
job.
podcast definitely adds an interesting layer to everything because this does look a lot more like fun, and it is pretty consistent.
Amazingly enough, I get less shit when I say, okay, I have to go record with the guys, even if we're doing something like watching Santa Claus with an axe, than actually if I'm just working solo. It's weird. I might be that.
I get that.
The commitment.
Like when the headphones go on and you're recording something, then they kind of know, right? We can't interrupt this. If it's just me tapping out words.
That's probably kind of a great indication of corporate ideas of working at home. This entire idea that you go into an office and there are other people there to witness, that you were doing something. Rather than I've noticed in my job they've like really changed the tune on people working from home now since the work, because they know the work gets done anyway, and the whole point is like, you got to turn up in a tie, otherwise it's not real work. It's like, well, the end results are still the same. So maybe it's like, you could, if you were watching Santa Claus kill people with a beer by yourself, that's just suspicious. But if you're doing it with like your peers, it's fine. That's work, man.
Steve brings up a really interesting point, is the work from home kind of caused the collapse of time-based management, which is the standard management technique, at least in the USA, which is the corporate experience I've had. So if you're not familiar, time management is where you control someone's time, schedule their breaks, schedule their lunch hour, schedule their comings and goings, and also when they arrive and leave.
And it's awful.
It's terrible. But it's also for companies that don't trust their employees. Objective-based management is when you are given, hey, this is your job, have it done here, don't bill for hours you don't work, let me know if you need help. That's great if you can get it. You can't usually get it. But it's been forced to the new thing because they just can't monitor your time as well.
I'll offer the caveat that some people need time-based management.
Both are valid. Function. Both are valid.
Yeah.
But time has been so warped and misused by the current corporate systems. I just can't fucking trust it ever. It's like, oh, okay, so you think I'm incompetent and a thief? Well, fuck you too.
Yeah.
We should probably take another question, shouldn't we?
Yeah, that was a long question.
All right.
Welcome to our 5-hour work from home panel.
Well, in similar vein, our friend Emily asks, is your daily schedule a lawless wasteland, or do you have a structure?
Lawless wasteland.
Lawless wasteland.
But that's because I have one of my kids. My oldest is 7, and my youngest is 3. So I get those words in around bouts of chaos.
Try to stick to a structure.
Yeah. God, my life for a bit of structure. More seriously, though, I've actually found okay, so I can't get hour-to-hour structure. I can't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to work for this many hours, or that I'm going to do, X many of words in X amount of time. But I can impose general structure on the days of the week. Like I can say, okay, today I am going to get X many words done. Today I am going to get X cleaning objective done. Today I'm going to get a workout in or a walk in at some point. And if I make those objectives things that are concrete and absolute, like I don't get to go to bed tonight until I have done these things, they may get done at odd times, they may get done at odd hours, but they will get done because I've made being able to do anything else conditional on finishing them.
I would say I exist in a world of both. There are days my day is very structured and it is awesome, and there are days when I have to be flexible enough to just work around the fact that, Bob asked me a question last night, and it should have been an easy thing to check, and I wrote back to him. I was like, I'll get back to you in a second. My dog is covered in blood.
Yeah.
So it was nothing.
I thought I'd stumbled into some shit, but wow.
The joy of owning a white dog is that even if they scratch themselves, they look like murder victims. But
God.
But
Jesus.
that is
Oopsie.
essentially just stuff happens. Maybe about a week and a half back, I woke up, normal day, everything's fine, walk downstairs, basement is flooded. So
oh Jesus.
I just have to be flexible, I'll take the structure where I can, but if not, I just have to figure out how to get it done in between jumping through hoops.
I am not entirely convinced that my whole weird sleep schedule isn't some part of my brain responding to how much I hate my schedule being interrupted. For as freewheeling, I think, as I present on the interwebs and all that fun stuff, you would be amazed how fucking structured I am. You can set a watch to me a lot of days. I've learned a lot about myself doing this, and one of the things is I am a creature of habit. And I've turned that into a positive by just building in as many beneficial, productive habits as I can. But the side effect is I really don't break them often. Like there have been days where I will reach the point where I usually clock out for my hour nap midday and I'm not really tired yet. And I'm like, I got to go do it. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck am I doing? I'm supposed to nap when I'm tired. I'll so default. I'm like a train on tracks. And very often that's beneficial, and sometimes it's very detrimental. So it's something I kind of keep aware of. But yeah, for the most part, I think my brain just wakes me up at 3 a.m. because it's like, fuck the rest of the world. They don't get a chance to interrupt your productivity until the big shit's done.
Just remember, for A&D Con 2021, where's Drew? He has a panel. Oh, it's nap time.
Also, hey, it's 4 a.m. Is that Drew at a buffet? Has he been out all night? Nope.
Got to get up and do the thing. Got to get up and do the thing now.
That was a bit at our first A&D Con Vegas of everybody just like staying out late and then me texting the group in the morning. Hey, anybody want breakfast?
And usually only me responding.
Yeah, only Rick's awake yet.
I don't remember those texts, man. I definitely wasn't conscious for them.
I was probably still up.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm a good employee. I'm not a good manager. I can put my face in the screen and get shit done pretty well. It's been like in my day job. This is continuously what they tell me, like a decent workhorse. But I don't know in terms of direction and prioritizing.
They tell you that?
Yeah, they call me a horse. It's a terrible life, I think. But
You're a great derby worker. We could run him ragged.
Start working.
Pull this cart. No, yeah, kind of changing direction and prioritizing stuff. Not great. I usually kind of work better in a team environment for that stuff. But the good news about working from home is there's been like a massive pivot by necessity to kind of working online in this kind of setup we have here. Is the same sort of thing we'll have in an office. So if they leave me to my own devices to a singular task, I will just do it until somebody tells me otherwise. You know, if the entire company just shut down and no one told me, I'd probably just carry on doing the task I was assigned. But yeah, so kind of being in a team and kind of being in a collaborative environment really helps me.
You remind me of the anime Ghost Story. Keep digging that hole digger.
And it's fine. It's like, all right, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know how to dig this hole. I'll see you guys in 6 months.
Steve is out there in the middle of the wilderness with a cart when the company is shut down, and he just keeps going, and suddenly he's on one of those long Scottish trails, and how did I end up in Glasgow?
Yeah, I mean, it's happened, man. I said I was a delivery driver. I wasn't a great delivery driver.
Because you tried to pull the fucking truck.
We have an engine, man.
Steve's just determined to beat the automobile hundreds of years after its adoption.
He's the John Henry of delivery drivers.
Bob, did you get this
All
one?
right.
What was it?
The lawless wasteland versus schedule.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm not as Drew is, but follow a schedule, just like
That's not a bad thing.
several hours later in the day. Do my walk, do my words, and that's about it.
All right.
Not today. Today would be the exception because we started this earlier than I would be finished. I had to drive my wife to the supermarket.
A&D, fucking up all of our schedules.
Also, just underlining like 3 of the issues you brought up on this panel. Oh.
All right. Well, our friend Jen asks a good one. How do you combat loneliness from the lack of all those little social interactions, like being in proximity to coworkers you like?
Oh, you mean like start a live play D&D podcast with a bunch of friends and build a community around it?
Yeah. You too can surely do this. That's one thing that actually has been that has actually been kind of surreal about all of this is the world outside is a nightmare. and so many people I know are going through that exact sort of thing. But for me, day-to-day life has not changed much. The only thing that's really different is that my wife is home, but even then she's up in the office for 9 to 5. So it's me and the kids. I know it'll be more jarring in the fall because our school district just announced that they're going to shift entirely to remote learning this fall. So I know it will be different in the fall because they'll be home instead of going to school. But even then, I've been living with that for the last 3 or 4 months, so it won't be that strange. And I don't want to use the word guilt because it's not exactly that, but there is something very surreal and dissonant about the world going through so much chaos and upheaval when my life is more or less the same. I just don't go outside. I just don't go out as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is I don't really get that lonely during the day. I'm kind of a misanthrope that way. But I'm in another group of authors, and what they've been doing is and I think a lot of other people have been doing this, is just getting on Zoom during the day. Even if you're just turning off your mic, your camera, you're kind of there with somebody else. I notice I don't get it's as cool as it is to see people, I don't get as much work done when I do it that way. I kind of like to work in this bubble of silence with nobody around. But, I mean, outside of the whole thing of somebody physically being there, I honestly think doing things via video is fine, because even when I was in an office in person, it's not like I was getting in people's faces and touching them a lot.
Hi.
One office.
Everybody else just
Hi.
like smash cut to Rick. I'm your new manager.
Hey, Bubala, how you doing?
Oh, you got good nostrils. These ear holes. Yeah.
I
joke
love
about it.
your eyeballs. You have
But we
such
do
pretty
social events
eyeballs.
with the office where we go out and drink, and this is exactly what I do to my co-workers when I'm drunk. At the office, I'm like, I will put my face to the screen for like the entire 8 hours if no one interrupts me. I like my co-workers a lot, but it's just kind of the way I am. If no one pulls my head out of my ass, my head stays in my ass. But we did kind of like just have occasional. You guys have seen me drunk. It's not pretty. It's a little bit chaotic. So I occasionally go out with these people who I'm perfectly reasonable with during the day, and after about 5 pints, it's like, okay, now things are going to get weird fast, and we're all going to get to know each other, and it's going to be fun. And then I turn up on Monday, and we don't make eye contact, and it's fine.
That's extra terrifying. I've seen the speed with which you can kill 5 pints.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, we thought we were gonna have time to get accustomed to the idea of this.
No.
Anybody who hasn't heard this one, we're talking A&D Con. We can tell an A&D Con story. At the first one, when Steve showed up, I still remember watching him drink. I've never seen someone casually murder him. I've been doing some heavy drinking situations, but it's always like there's theatrics, there's grandness. No, Steve just casually talking will sip a quarter of a beer at a time and be done. It's just like,
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Like I had met Drew first at other conferences, and Drew had set a high bar there, and suddenly Steve shows up and is just like, "Fuck you, noob."
Oh, casual eating, not even trying to compete and dominate.
I noticed this. I didn't watch him shotgun a beer. I just noticed that every time I glanced at Steve, he had a beer with a different label on it. And I was like, did you get a new one, or did I hallucinate the last one?
It's just, I think it is just down to the English drinking system where everybody doesn't see each other for a while, and it's just like, we grew up in a time where the pub closed at 11 and that was it. So you only had a certain amount of time. So, you had to talk fast and drink fast.
The English drinking system. We drink so we can tolerate each other a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the entire point of the office drinking evenings. It's like, you're all very nice and this is fine, but, we really want to get to know each other, we have to go to a pub and drink an embarrassing amount, maybe have a breakdown, and it'll be fine on Monday.
So I joked around at the top about this being an outlet, but it is truly. And obviously starting a podcast with other people and building a whole community is a lot, but digital community is still community. And I know it doesn't have the same feelings and whatnot. It's definitely adjustment. It took a lot of time to get used to not working around other people when I first started this. And truly, Authors and Dragons is a big help. Like having this group to talk to and bounce ideas off of and stuff. Like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And just in terms of like having people to say, hey, does this sound right? And in a job where you often work from home and don't have anyone to talk to, it's very, very helpful. So yeah, I think finding online communities or creating them if you have to, but I think in the current situation, it's just, it might not be ideal, but with tweaking and mixing and matching, there's a lot of experiences you can replicate digitally, at least to close proximity, if not as good as the real.
Yeah, I will definitely second that. I mean, there's a reason I show up for every Marvel movie discussion that I don't give a shit about. I just need this little bit of social interaction. When we go a week without doing anything, like, you know, people are busy or the schedule's changed or anything, that Thursday I'm like a basket case. I need my fix.
Yeah.
I'm just drinking alone.
Oh, it's true, man. Same with me. My local area, because of the fluctuating nature of COVID at the minute, has gone into kind of not full lockdown, but a sort of lockdown. And it was a beautiful day outside today. And I said, this would be a great time to have a drink in a beer garden with some friends. And then I just thought, all of my friends are worried about disease and hiding. And that's it. There was just nothing to do. And I just kind of got really down about it. I'm sort of glad we scheduled this today because at least I get, some social contact.
Yeah.
I'll also
nice.
add one thing, because the question asked about people you like, but there's the plus of not having to see people you don't like.
Yeah.
Because every office I've walked in, there's been one or two people I looked at and said, if you died, this place would be so much better.
But enough about the CEO.
Oh God, I don't miss working at Michael's.
Although Rick's office would be like, there's Rick at the water cooler again, telling people he wishes they were dead.
Well, at my last job, I gotta say, one thing that was awesome was I had all my books there. They knew I was a horror writer, and rumors started going around that, like, horror writers probably are like, real psychopaths in real life, and I didn't do anything to dissuade that.
It's a handy subterfuge.
Mm-hmm. Definitely was not going to argue with that one.
All right, next question.
Another question.
Kawaii Ass Bitch basically asks, I guess in a home with limited
The name
resources.
his mother gave him.
In a home with limited resources, say you maybe have one computer, one webcam, but both of you have jobs where you have conference calls, and of course they're always like, the same time. How do you compromise on who takes the call and who leaves the room?
I briefly shared an office with my sister when we both went furloughed, and we just didn't bother. We just, if somebody was having a video chat and I wanted to walk around in the background with my coffee, mostly dressed most of the time, then that was her working, that was her work colleague's problem, not mine, and vice versa. But the amount of Skype calls I've been in when we're having a meeting with someone and their partner is in the background talking really loudly about stuff that's entirely unrelated to what we're doing, it happens a lot. I don't think people are kind of splitting that resource. I think they're just kind of like, we both got a job to do. Yeah. Fuck these other guys.
I think
They
there's
can deal
a
with
certain amount of leeway in most office situations at the moment to simply say, "Yeah, I'm sorry that I have to be here, via my phone or whatnot. We have one resource. We weren't accounted for this, and it has to share." I can't imagine no one else in your company is going through something similar, be it sharing space, sharing a resource, sharing something. It would be a pretty capital dick move to take issue with someone struggling to work with limited space that wasn't designed to support a work from home situation. But outside of that, my recommendation is of course going to be, I love scheduling.
I would say there's little things you can do to make it better. Like my kids they just finished their summer session for school, and both of them, we had them sitting in the same room, and of course both of them had video chat at the same time. Well, the solution there is like little things like a headset with like a mic. Is it going to mute all sound? But something, it's going to make it a lot easier than somebody blaring out through speakers. Another thing, like in this house, is like I recently upgraded the Wi-Fi mesh network so that no matter where you go, you get a decent signal. So hey, if my wife has something to do in the evening, she can come upstairs while I'm sitting downstairs refusing to turn off my video game.
I would also say the way that Rick's cat kind of interrupted him there earlier, and the amount of Skype calls and Zoom calls I've been on where someone's kids have just charged into the room, or somebody's cats, wipe their balls on the webcam, and just everybody's like super understanding about it. It's kind of like, this is just this is the reality of now. We've got to look at your cat's testicles. We've got to listen to your children, and it's not such a bad thing that the corporate world might acknowledge that people are people doing normal people things. That might be a nice evolution, except for the testicles.
You guys see that? It was a few years ago. It was in Korea. It was all over YouTube and Facebook. There was this guy on CNN. He was given this serious report, but it was supposed to look like a news studio, I guess. But he was actually doing this in his apartment, and his baby walked in through the door, and then his wife came in and chased the baby and got him.
I remember that.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. I remember it. It was fantastic.
But at the time, everyone was like, "Oh, that's so weird and crazy." But now it's fucking Tuesday.
But also let's take a look at Drew. He has a virtual background. No, not Drew yourself. Your reverse virtual background that none of us can read now. But yeah, like if you're on Zoom or so, take advantage of that. Like, put up something, put up a green screen or so. It's not foolproof, but it can stop things like, the naked children running behind you.
Or wear a green screen and be like the Queen of England.
Yeah, just let people Photoshop you, man. I would say there's people we do calls with, and they're very transparent about it. So, that's a cool background. It's like, yeah, I haven't cleaned my house. There's like a mountain of dirty laundry behind me that I don't want people to see.
The only resource that we compete about, I guess, even compete is not the right word, is The Office. And the main reason for that is that I don't like dumping the kids on my wife for too long an expended period of time too regularly. So I tend to just work from downstairs. Most of the time, only coming up to the office on off hours when I really have something that I need to get done and really need no interruptions on. Which tends to be more things like this than work, because one benefit to having two really young children is that I'm very used to being able to sort of stay in the zone despite lots of distractions. I can continue to work even when someone's screaming 3 feet away from me.
Good skill.
Yeah, it's definitely been valuable. Again, it's that whole life hasn't changed that much.
You're like, pandemic's got nothing on two children.
Oh God! And it's funny.
Children, the original plague.
Children, the original plague, and before that, it's like people are like, "Oh, don't your children gross you out?" I'm like, I raised pigs. I raised
So yes,
pigs.
so
The
children
original
are much
children.
worse.
No, they're not. These pigs would shit and piss in their own sleeping straw, and like,
That sounds like kids to me.
Is that not what diapers are?
Yeah, we've all been there, mate.
yeah, but it smelled worse.
They never do their homework.
Yeah, the fucking pigs would. It's just also
Always out
also
with the pigs. Like, get off your phone, pig.
also the children are not 250 pounds.
You know what? You can't
Yeah.
make bacon out of your children. Well,
No,
could,
you can't.
but not legally.
I mean, technically, human long pork is sort of the.
Oh God!
There's an argument to be made.
That's a different panel.
That's a very
Secret
different panel. Authors and
Secret,
Dragons
highly
Digicon
illegal
2023.
Yeah, if this is still going on next year, that'll be the panel.
Authors and Dragons 2023 literal baby back ribs.
Oh.
So you've murdered your enemies. Now what to do with them?
Using the whole buffalo, or in this case, the whole Brad.
How to get rid of a body. Fun and delicious way.
How to get rid of a body without bringing lie into the equation.
Disposing of evidence and building an oversized smoker in your backyard.
We're all going to develop
probably
these
do another
skills as
question.
the apocalypse goes on. Yeah.
All right. So our friend Susie Q asks, wow, almost disturbingly on that point, how is this all going to shape the future? What's going to be the new normal when we emerge from the other side?
I mean, it seems like the digital push is inarguable at this point. Like, I'm not saying that every job is going to go digital. There are clearly still a lot that have to be in person that are more productive or beneficial in person. But by the same token, it has now become undeniable, as Steve's own case pointed out, of corporations resist work from home because it doesn't give them that firm, under-the-thumb grasp of seeing how you're spending every single minute. And for a long time, that thinking has just prevailed because old shit sticks around. But at this point, there is now so much data, so much case precedent, so much individual work history to point to and say, no, working from home is better, faster, saves me money, etc., for the people who want it, for the people whose jobs support it. So I'm not saying that, the world's going to go all digital all at once, but I think at this point, the shift toward working from home as a viable option just has to be considered. Like, it's going to be more prevalent and more optional, especially as businesses look to reduce their overheads by shucking office space.
Yeah. And here's the thing, also the thing is, like, you were talking about that, like, time management, or like, or managing others. I used to manage other people remotely, and I will just say, anybody who pretty much claims, well, I have no way of, like, tracking you or doing what you're doing, that's complete BS. That means they're a crap manager. I used to manage programmers who were like 500 miles away, other people like doing customer service and stuff, and something, I never had an issue being able to tell if they were doing their jobs or not. There's all sorts of things. Oh, hey, talk to the other department head. Are they making their deadlines? Oh, no. Well, let me go talk to them. There's all sorts of little things that like don't involve, I have to look over your shoulder or I have to stare at you in a webcam for 8 hours.
Well, the amount of call centers I've phoned up, just trying to sort out bank information and stuff, and there's like a noise will happen. I'll say, "Oh, sorry, we're working from home." It's like, I did not notice, and no one cares. And then it just occurs to me, why would you put 200 people in an office block to do this job, which clearly and obviously you could have been doing from home from the get-go? And then you think about what the social implications of that. Maybe it's better for local shops. Maybe it means they'll get out and walk a little bit more. Maybe if they got a little bit more time in their day because they don't have to spend half an hour putting on makeup and 40 minutes driving to work. What is that, 2 hours more in your day? It could, if you can do it, why not? The technology's there to make sure you're doing your job. If you suck at being a call center person, you're going to suck on exactly the same terms of whether you're in an office or whether you're not.
Also, we've been transitioning to the gig economy. People taking like positions like Uber or like or Grubhub or whatever, where they're kind of like doing the work as they can. So why not work with that with like, kind of a customer service basis? It's like if you're available, log on, you take a few calls. When you're done, you log off. You get paid for whatever time you do.
The amount of times since I've been working from home, because we tend to record quite late, I used to I get up at 7 every day. I've got to shower. I've got to get myself presentable, drive to work, set up at work. There are times now when I think I could really do with about 20 minutes more being asleep. And I will just roll out of my bed and log on like a big stinky homeless guy. And I'll be fine because I don't have to deal with anyone. I can still do the same job. But I've just saved myself an hour of bullshit.
Until they invent smell-o-vision.
Oh my god. Well, Rick, let's not go too far into the future and ruin.
Oh my god, we invented this technology so people could remotely smell flowers. What are you doing with it?
Why are you checking up on your employees this way?
There's no off
Must be
button.
a war crime.
Oh,
God.
Work-related.
He's wiping his balls on the smell later.
oh God. It's not work-related, but there is one technological jump I've seen happen really rapidly during quarantine. Like, it's already going. So the ability to watch a movie and talk to your friends at the same time is something that we've been using for Authors and Dragons at the Movies for years. It was originally a small system called Rabbit, and then that crashed out, and we had to go find another one. It was a big hunting thing. And in the past 4 months, Netflix, Facebook, and I think another company have all rolled out abilities to watch things with
Discord.
your friends exactly like we do. Discord, yeah. So I think the digitalization of social experiences is going to see a huge uptick. Because that tech has kind of been floating for a while, but there wasn't a demand that forced people to integrate it like a motherfucker with speed until this. Joe just made me think about that one.
Well, yeah, because companies do presentations all the time.
Yeah.
But you can't just say, okay, mute your mics and like ask questions at the end. That doesn't work in a corporate environment. Nobody fucking does that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the virtual office has had to very rapidly evolve, and it's a good evolution. And I mean, it'd be interesting. What I'm going to be interested in seeing is, what happens to the empty corporate parks when companies finally say, this is so much cheaper than paying $15 million a second to rent this big monolith building in the middle of nowhere.
I had a Zoom meeting the other day where we were all on a virtual whiteboard with virtual post-it notes, which was actually better to decipher and more easy to contribute to than an actual physical office environment where we get around a table and start looking at piles of badly drawn notes. It was, and if something's better and easier and quicker, once it's kind of people have got a taste for that, they're going to start thinking, why would we book office space to do something that is less fun, less efficient, and more smelly? So,
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's kind of there's certain things now that were necessities, which are just going to, people are just going to be, actually, this is better, and keep on it.
I'm going to go with flying cars and better sex robots.
Well,
the sex robot thing is not that far off given this situation. Yeah. Somebody's working on
flying sex robots. That's where the innovation is at.
It's like the top half of me is on camera, the bottom half, sex robot.
Sex robot. Sex robot.
I've got someone else
to your town. Oh God!
Shit. Have we all got sex robots right now? This is the future.
What does he want? Yeah. He wants sex. Hell no.
Coming to your town.
If anybody hasn't seen
want to get down?
The Whitest Kids You Know sex robot. You can look it up on YouTube, probably still. Yeah,
I think it's on YouTube. It's very funny and also extremely dark.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, my brain always goes to the macro scale, so I've got that thing that's like, what does the future look like? Massive political upheaval and chaos. But I mean,
much like most of history. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like when a lot of this started. One of the things I joked to someone about and now feel uncomfortable with that joke is we are now living through plot, and that's horrifying.
We need virtual protests. It's like try macing me now.
But I think basically everything that everyone said about working from home is, I think we're going to see more of it becoming the norm. At least I'd like to think that we will. I would like to hope that we will, because there are so many benefits to it. But that also comes with drawbacks, because as people have mentioned, those of us who've been doing this home for a while have a lot of practice in work-life balance. Or at least we have a conceptual idea of how to engage in work-life balance, and that entire paradigm of how we think about that is going to have to shift. And my, I guess, kind of worry from the corporate side is that there's going to be pushback. There's going to be pushback against the idea of that.
There's always going to be.
Which is. Yeah, there's going to be people who are like, no. If you're home, you got to be working all the time. But I don't know. I think it's a mixed. It's very much a mixed bag. Not in a bad way. I think that these are social conversations that are long overdue, and there's going to be considerable. I think those conversations are going to be very vigorous and heated. But by the same token, just like with protests, I think it's necessary, haven't happened, and need to.
Yeah, one last interesting thing to leave it on is, I guess, we've all talked about how we manage working from home, the lockdown situation. Where does that leave the future of human interaction, I should say, and as people who are currently watching a digital convention rather than a physical one, maybe an interesting place to leave it.
Accessibility, actually, I feel like that's one thing that's inarguably good, because there are people who would not have been obviously it would have been great if we could have had ANDCon 2020 in person, but by the same token, there's going to be people who wouldn't have been able to go to it and who wouldn't have been able to enjoy it who now can.
That's very true.
And this time next
they can't
year,
smell me.
You'll be able to buy a Rick Gualtieri sex robot who'll sign your books and take care of business.
Wait, is that a Rick Gualtieri brand sex robot or a Rick Gualtieri shaped sex robot?
Both.
Why not
You
both?
got to own your brand.
All right, well then I'll order two.
Just call the other one 7.
Just put one in a Bill shirt, one in a critical failure.
All right, guys. Any closing thoughts?
No, I think sex robot is an excellent place to leave it.
Yeah.
Get through this how you can, and don't feel bad. Don't let anyone make you feel bad about how you're getting through it, because this is unprecedented, and coping is important.
Yeah. Actually, Joe brings up a really good one to leave on. We've talked a lot about staying productive and on your game during all this, but it's also probably important to mention it's a fucking pandemic, and it's okay if shit is a little hard and crazy right now, because this is not normal. This is not 4 months of vacation at home. This is an insane, stressful ass situation, and we kind of have to make it work because we've bet our livelihoods on it. And I'm sure to an extent that is true for the job too, but just if you're not as productive as you want to be, if you're not feeling like you're making the most of this time, recognize that this is taking a lot of energy out of you just to get through, and that is okay.
And here's the thing, it's not just livelihoods. Yeah. We're potentially betting our lives on this, so...
Yeah.
And on that note, sex robots!
Sex robots!
Sex robot!
All right, folks. Well, we hope you enjoyed this panel. We'll see you at the next one here on the Authors and Dragons YouTube channel for Authors and Dragons Con 2020. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.